the capital of the Voltage Valley. One of the things people always talk about with the Voltage Valley is, what does that actually mean? And to me, I think it means the best place to start an energy company in the United States of America, which makes it the best place to start an energy company in the world. That's what I want the definition of Voltage Valley to be, for people who want to come here from around the world, around the country, and start their new companies, because we do have the best of what it takes to do that here. This EDA grant, so important to us. Last year during COVID, we saw 4 times more entrepreneurs reaching out to BRITE in Warren, Ohio, and saying, "Hey, we want to start an energy company. We have this technology; it's really cool, but we want to know how to commercialize it." And so, we got overloaded with new companies that were wanting to be a part of this little thing, which is really, really exciting, but also terrifying, right? Because you're like, well, I only have so much money, so many resources, and so through the CARES Act, we were able to, get these funds. And then we really wanted to prop up our energy storage and e-mobility more generally. From that standpoint, the United States is averaging 1 gigawatt battery factory built per year. In China, it's 1 per week. And so we want to supplement YSU and Eastgate's work in this space and be able to co-locate innovation where people are making new ideas and coming together with manufacturing. And so we can see that opportunity here in the Mahoning Valley with all the assets that we have. And with Lordstown Motors and Ultium and Active down the road and Tata Steel or Thomas Steel Strip, we see all of these opportunities coming here and coming together for fruition. So one of the things that I really want to do today is just highlight Congressman Tim Ryan, Mayor Franklin. Thank you guys so much, because 10 years ago, y'all had a vision, especially you, Congressman, that Mahoning Valley could be the best place in the world to start an energy company. And now we see some of those companies coming from around the world right here in Warren, Ohio. So without further ado, I want to introduce Mayor Franklin. Mayor Franklin,
sure nobody knows me.
If nobody knows you, one of his first campaign promises was to go against the mold and say, "Hey, I'm going to commit funding to then T-Bike." Not everybody knew at that time how good of an investment that would be, and we're seeing things like we're announcing today as a part of the fruition of that. So, Mayor Franklin, I'm going to give it up to you.
Thanks, Rick, for that introduction. And I want to say, first I want to recognize my Safety Service Director, Eddie Colbert, and we have 2 councilmen with us today. Councilman at Large, Gary Steinbach, and 3rd Ward Councilman Greg Greathouse in the back. Thanks for coming. Did I miss anybody? I wanted to say this is County Commissioner Frank Food as well. I had to keep my city councilman first. This is a great day, and first of all, I'd be remiss if we didn't start off by thanking Rick and Sarah and the BRITE board, and all of the great work that they've done in growing this organization to put it on the world map, not just the national map. So, would you give a hand to these great services? And of course, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the initial investment of $3.2 million from the Department of Energy, secured by Congressman Tim Ryan. Thank you so much, Tim. That laid the groundwork for all the great work that we're doing today in this building. Let me start off by saying I have the pleasure of introducing a guy who I just met, but he's a fantastic young man who decided to relocate his business to downtown Warren. And if you heard Rick, you understand why he made that wise choice. And we want to make sure that your stay is long, forever, and that it be fruitful and prosperous. We're here for your service, and we're here to help you achieve that. Let me tell you a little bit about Caesar Power, and then I'll introduce Tony. It's a veteran-run organization, and it's an MIT startup that seeks to democratize energy for all. Their devices act such as an EV fast charger, a solar inverter, solar energy router, all in one. My secretary told me to take my cheaters, but I didn't listen. But he's also won numerous national awards, and I think it was the best startup in the United States.
Massachusetts.
Massachusetts, well, that's pretty good. It's only Harvard and MIT. But he's very innovative, and he served our country and he served his community with excellence. Now, his devices will power our homes, small businesses, stores, the energy in a home battery, and sells energy back to the grid. It also provides directional, which can support vehicles to the grid charging. So, for Tony to come forward, let me tell you a little bit about him. He founded this company shortly after Tony was returned from serving in Afghanistan, and thank you for your service, in 2015. And while he was deployed, he recognized the problems with using fossil fuels to power, for power and transportation, and its impact on our environment and security. Presently, Tony strives to revolutionize the automotive and the clean tech industries while creating a smarter, faster, safer, and more sustainable world. Thanks, Tony, for your service, and thank you for serving our community, and we look forward to your work with us in the future. Ladies and gentlemen, Tony Brazone, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
So, the Carbon Zero Advanced Research, the ZAR Power journey, for me actually began in northern Afghanistan in the summer of 2014. I was there as an engineer officer looking for improvised explosive devices. Obviously, the ideal target of IEDs are convoys, and something like 80% of all convoys at the time were fuel convoys. Because as it turns out, surprisingly, waging war is a pretty fuel-intensive business. You need a tremendous amount of power for the generators to provide electricity 24/7, and you need a tremendous amount of energy to power military vehicles, which are not exactly the most fuel-efficient things on the planet. So as I was out there kind of sucking in the heat with my guys, I realized, hey, this is kind of stupid. We've got this giant fusion reactor in the sky, affectionately called the sun, and there has to be a better way to incorporate solar into our power and electrified transportation. So I get back from Afghanistan, I figure there are a lot of people who are a hell of a lot smarter than I am out there. They have to be working on it. And unfortunately, at the end of 2014, on the electric vehicle front, there wasn't a whole lot of plans, right? You had this one tiny, weird, insignificant startup out of California called like Tesla or something. And that was about it. Those are the only players that were taking electrified transportation super seriously. And then on the solar front, solar, we saw some market penetration, but nothing really amazing, certainly. The cost was still a little too high at that time. But luckily enough for me, I linked up with my great friend Nelson Wang, who at the time was a PhD student at MIT. And he had come up with, for his thesis project, a way to combine solar power through an inverter and electric vehicle fast charging. So although it didn't make a single bit of business sense at the time, we decided to stand up a business around his technology because we thought that the dominoes would fall. Cultural dominoes, technological dominoes, political dominoes would ultimately fall in that direction. So that started in 2015, that kicked off a wild ride. So we were able to, over the course of a few years, we were able to raise $1.1 million to kind of take this from Nelson's completely theoretical idea through version 1, 2, and now 3, which we've just completed. So what are we doing? Right now, if you don't want to be beholden to a fragile or failing grid, or you want to adopt clean energy technologies, like solar, like home batteries, like electric vehicle fast charging, it takes a bunch of power electronics to make that work. Right? So you need an inverter for your solar, you need an inverter to make your battery work, you need another system for your electric vehicle charging, you need a couple more systems to balance it all out. All of those things take a lot of money, it's pretty expensive. So over $21,000 by our count for those things to install them at a similar power rating. Now $21,000 doesn't even cover the cost of solar or the batteries themselves. That's just in the power electronics that you need to make all of this happen. So we figure, hey, that price is quite frankly ridiculously too high, and we'll never achieve a more sustainable future as long as we're pricing most normal people out of participating in the clean energy revolution. So what we've done is we've taken the last 6 years, and we figured out how to take those 5 systems and put them into one box at better than a third of the current cost. So think what Apple did with the iPhone by combining what we would now call a burner cell phone, a camera, and a computer for the internet and putting it into one device. We're doing that with clean tech power electronics. So you can use our device, one system, 2 feet by 1 foot by 6 inches, route the solar on your roof through our box, and fast charge your electric vehicle about a mile every 45 seconds. So way faster, 2 to 5 times faster than the standard charger that comes with the vehicle. When you're not doing all of that using 100% renewable energy. And when you're not doing that, you can route the power through our box and power your home with it. Route that energy through our box, store it in a home battery if you have one, or sell it back to the grid if your utility allows that. It's also bi-directional, so there's a lot of cool, exciting applications for that, and I won't nerd out too hard on it. But one of them is you can actually pool the energy in an emergency situation, or if you don't have a home battery, you can pool the energy stored in your electric vehicle, route it through our box, and power your home with it. So, about 6 months ago, looking, there's really no denying, ever since, I've noticed, keeping up with this for about 7 years now, I've noticed there was an absolute quantum shift in before November's election and after, with just the emphasis that has kind of come up, mostly on the investing side. And I realized that it was time to hang up the uniform and to make this my full-time gig, because this wave was really only going to hit us once. To be alive right now in this time is so exciting. So I had a big decision to make. Where was I going to move myself and my family and my business? Do we go to Boston? Do we go to California, where obviously you have a lot of electric vehicles, a lot of solar action happening there? Somewhere else, right, internationally even potentially? But I'm an Ohio boy at heart. So I was born and raised in Akron, Ohio. I went to school at Archbishop Hogan High School. I went to school at college at Xavier in Cincinnati. And then I went off to play Army for 8 years. So coming back, trying to figure out, okay, where in the world am I going to relocate this business and my family? I can say with complete certainty that I am here right now because of that man. I am in Ohio because of Rick, because of the conversations that we had. He and he alone brought me here. Kind of, obviously, pretty shamelessly advocate of the region, but then I also realized with Lordstown, with all some of the things that Rick said, realized that this is the future. And to be quite frank, I think in situations like mine, you've got a couple choices. You can either run away from the coast, run away to the coasts, and live in a world that someone else built, or you can go back home and put your flag in the ground and build something yourself. So that is what I've decided to do here. Through Rick's help and the awesome team here at BRITE, this amazing, beautiful facility, the leadership, Mayor Franklin, and most importantly, Representative Tim Ryan, who I think it's pretty apparent to everyone in this room, but is a man, a tremendous man. I've followed his career pretty closely over the last few years. He's a person who puts people ahead of politics 10 times out of 10. And I am honored and humbled to be here, and I'm very, very, very excited for what the future holds. Thank you very much.
I feel like Tony just introduced me. So. I can't say anything better than that, so why don't you come up, Congressman?
I don't know if I can either. Thank you, Tony. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. And I appreciate you really giving the credit to Rick here. We had the vision for this for a long time, that we had to diversify the economy. I represent part of Akron as well, in Barberton. And so 20 years ago, it's great era, come by honestly. The idea was we lost steel, we lost rubber in Akron, the supply chains, and those early years when we first got in office, always talking about pensions and job loss and trade adjustment assistance for our workers. And Gary Steinbeck, who's now with the city council, but was with the steel workers, how many meetings, heartbreaking meetings, heart-wrenching meetings. So our goal was young people left, and we better build an economy that they want to come back to. And we had the business software incubator down in Youngstown, and we know that before the mayor was mayor, he was on the council and very interested in how we do this. And we put the flag in the ground. Rick Leonard from my team is here, who runs our district offices, who bulldog this thing through some pretty lean times before Rick Stockberger was here. we didn't have any money. Just to give everybody a little bit of the background, we had earmarks, and we earmarked a couple $1,000,000 for the building. And the idea was, well, then I'll get a few more earmarks, a couple $100,000 every year, keep it, get it up and running, and then it'll go. So then they banned earmarks right after we got money for just the building. And then we didn't have any money to run it. And that's where Rick and Mr. Pogue and the whole board like really just dug in and made this thing happen. And so I almost teared up listening to you, Tony, because you are the embodiment of what we visualized 20 years ago. You, a local boy done good, left, served his country, had an idea, had some ambition, had good contacts that you would want to come back with. You would have been able to build something that you would want to come here, and then obviously have the leadership here to make this happen. And in the money in the CARES Act, $571,000 for BRITE is because with the pandemic, we have the public health issues, of course, that we need to deal with, vaccinations and all of that. But the people running the government now want us to also have a stellar recovery, economic recovery, where we're not just recovering and everyone kind of goes back to work, which is what we want, but we want more than that. We want the new companies, the entrepreneurs, the innovators, the new ideas. When you look at the competition in foreign countries like China, putting 7 to 90% of their GDP into their infrastructure, broadband, investments in the roads and bridges and ports. They dominated before the pandemic 50% of the electric vehicle market. So what you're seeing here today is the epitome of public-private partnerships, of the government doing what it does best, and we tap into the intellect and the prowess of our citizens, and we invest into them. And you want to make a bet and win? Bet on a guy like Tony. Bet on a guy like Rick. We're here to help you guys succeed. And this company's going to grow, and there's going to be a lot of jobs here, and it's going to be right in downtown Warren. And as a side note, and the mayor is taking the lead on this, we're building quality of life too around here. They just agreed to take down a dam in the river so that we can start the canoeing, and clean the river up, we can have canoeing and water. See the amphitheater. This theater down here got renovated by a private sector individual. Yeah. But the river walk, the Packard Music Hall, we've gotten a lot of public money for that stuff. And so it's these public-private partnerships that are going to allow us to have the companies of the future, dominating the industries of the future, with the quality of life right here in Warren, so more young people will move back. It's happening. Like, we couldn't make this up. And if we wanted to, I'm proud to help bring this, $570,000 a year. And now we have more money coming to the city and to the county from the HEROES Act that we just passed that can be transformational. So we've got to start thinking big, that we're going to keep growing the Voltage Valley. And here we are in downtown Warren with a great announcement. So Tony, we're here to help you. We're here to support you. We want you to grow your business, grow your family, and continue to be a part of the Warren family, the Trumbull County family, the Voltage Valley family. Thank you so much.
And lastly, I do want to say thank you to the EDA and Director Brem, because without them, this CARES Act funding wouldn't have been able to happen. So we're very excited about that. Do y'all have any questions for any of us? No? Great. No? Why?
It's probably just me, but I'm still just a little vague on how you're going to apply these funds. Could you be a little more specific on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, one of the things that we saw in 2020 was the increase of number of companies that we were serving. So a big portion of those funds is actually going to go to staff and personnel to be able to serve more companies very specifically. And then also, we always thought it was kind of crazy that we could help companies in Cincinnati and let them know about Warren and all of that. We couldn't help companies in Pittsburgh or Northern West Virginia.
That was by charter or something? Or?
Because of the state of Ohio. Our funding was solely from the state of Ohio, not the federal government. So we'll now be able to help those companies. I'm excited for your question, very, very much. The other aspect, a lot of our companies and people from around the country have wanted to do testing on solar panels, and specifically inversion. And so we're actually going to be able to put a solar array on our roof here to be able to utilize for our lab upstairs. So when companies like Tony want to do pre-certification for their UL testing, they can do it right here. And so we'll be able to do that type of testing, which will draw more people from, well, I won't say the EDA funds will draw more people. Be very clear about that. Will give us more opportunity to do testing for people from around the country around. What was your question?
I can't.
I'm excited you're here. Any other questions for anybody else? Go ahead.
What specific kinds of jobs will you guys bring of those 200 jobs, and what kind of timeline when those jobs will come, when this will all start rolling out?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's directly related to our entrepreneurial services. So those jobs will be created by startups and startup founders, just like Tony. So if when Tony is bringing his 4 to 7 jobs here now, I'm envisioning Tony having a company that employs 200, 300 people in the next 2 to 3 years. And I believe that totally for his company, absolutely. Beyond that, it's companies, it's those jobs that are, middle class jobs. That's the stuff we dream about. So, having electricians and folks like that be able to apply their trade right here and work with these companies is something that's really important to us. More questions? I'm not used to being with.
You're doing good. Keep going. Keep going. I have some for you. No, I'm kidding.
Awesome. All right. Well, without any more questions, I do want to say we're very excited on our Bright Side chat. I believe this Thursday night to have Congressman Ryan on. So we'll be talking about his role on appropriations and his vision and investment into clean energy. So we're excited to have him on with all of that going on. I also did want to say, a lot of this too has to do with Mayor Franklin and the city and the Power Clean Future Ohio commitment that has been made. So we're very, very excited that our city is future facing and that we get to say nationally, locally, internationally, we're going to be part of the future. And we're not going to just be a part of it, but we're going to lead it. So thank you to the city, the county, Congressman Ryan, and Director Brem, and most importantly, Founders First, Tony, and other folks like him that are coming here from around the country. Appreciate you.